Oh, look at this, folks. Experimental video for you. I did say that I might do a live stream of the sun, and here we are. Sorry about the. Please excuse me while that settles down a bit. But we're looking at the sun here. I'm live, Starman from the garden, and we are looking at the sun through my telescope, and I've got the solar filter on it, and we are now looking at a pretty major sunspot region here. Hi, Lancashire. Hi to Jack Door. Mouse Charger. Oh, we got quite a few coming in. Wayne's in. Oh, they're all in. They're all coming in now. This is very. I did say that I would try this. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I've got jobs to do. We're looking at the sun, folks. Look at this. Well, I can't believe it. We've already got 16 people watching. That is pretty incredible. We're looking at the sun here, and that is a pretty amazing shot. We're looking at sort of like one part of the sun here. I'll just see if I can get it. Oh, I always press the wrong button. Can you see those sunspots? Look at that, folks. Just look at these sunspots. I had to bring you this video. What I wanted to try and do was I wanted to connect my camera up to the telescope, but in the end, I've ended up connecting my phone up using the smartphone holder. So we're looking at the sun through the telescope and the solar filter and the smartphone adapter. I'm just going to leave this image on the screen for a while. I just need to just go and get something. I need to get something to sit down on. So if I could just maybe, can I bring that more this way? Oh, sorry, we're going off it. Sorry about that. Ah, there you go. Look at that. Look at those sunspots. Look at those sunspots, folks. It's not the ideal way to do it. I wanted to put my camera on it and connect it that way, but unfortunately, I haven't got the right connection for the camera. So I had to connect the phone using the. But just look at that, folks. Oh, the sun at the moment is absolutely amazing to look at. I've just been looking at it through the. I wondered what you meant by God's Lancashire. Got nothing to sit on. So the telescope is actually tracking the sun. It is. The sunspots look absolutely amazing. They probably don't look quite as clear on here as what they do. When you look through the eyepiece, they look amazing. And those sunspots are cooler bits of the sun, and there's lots of magnetic, a lot of magnetic field lines twisting, and it's those that give off the prominences, you know. Hi to Alan. Hi to everyone who's joined us. We're looking at the sun live. Hi to David Owen. Hi Maria. Look at this. Isn't it amazing? The sunspots. There's so many sunspots on the sun at the moment, and that's a great thing for the aurora. You know, in fact, I had alerts. Hi to Ram fan. I had alerts kicking off on my phone this morning about the aurora. The aurora was kicking off all last night, but the problem is you can't see it because it's too there's not enough darkness to see it. I'm just going to leave you looking at this for a while, and then I've got to get a seat to sit on. I'm a little bit uncomfortable at the moment. Let's see if we can just bring that round a bit so we can see the edge. Can you see how it shakes quite a lot when you touch the? As soon as you touch the telescope, it shakes a lot, and that's because the focal length of this telescope is so powerful. Oh, look at that! Look at that set of sunspots there. I'm always pressing the wrong button. Look at that. 23 watching. We're looking at the sun live. Oh, yeah, so we've got the solar filter on here. We're looking at the sun live. Oh, doesn't that look amazing? Wow, look at that, folks. 19 people watching the news, doesn't it? This is just an experimental live, folks. I wasn't sure if it was going to work because the problem is that I had a problem with the phone focusing before and I wasn't sure if it was going to focus, but somehow we've managed to get it working and we can see the sun, or part of it. We can see part, hi Mernage, we can see part of the sun. I wanted to use a camera, a separate camera, rather than my phone because the problem is that the phone doesn't always focus right. So this is a bit different, isn't it, folks? We're getting to see the sun. That's right, Maria. Yeah, it's the telescope that I got a little bit earlier this year, and I've got a solar filter on it, so it's really warm. I tell you what, actually setting the telescope up to look at the sun is not as easy as you think. It really isn't. But just look at those sunspots there. Look at that. And if you look at the edge of the sun, if you look at the very edge of it, can you see that shimmering? You can probably see it on the sunspots as well. That's the atmosphere. That's our atmosphere that's causing that. It's not the sun itself. It's our atmosphere. It's a bit like looking through a swimming pool. If you go in the swimming pool and you look up, you see all that wobbling. Nothing looks clear, does it? Well, that's the same effect that we get when we look through our atmosphere to anything that's in the sky or in space. And it even affects the sun and the moon. You notice it quite a lot on the moon. When you look at the moon, you see the moon wobbling. And that's what we're seeing. It's just like looking. Sometimes it's not as bad as other times. I mean, at the moment, I'd say it's pretty good. I would say it's not too bad at the moment myself. I mean, it's better to do this in the morning, you know, before the heat builds up, because when the heat does build up, that atmosphere tends to get more shimmery, and you tend to get. I'll just bring that across. Sorry, it's just gone out of view a bit. You know, I always press the wrong button. Always press the wrong button. Let's bring this back into view, shall we? So this is the sun live. Did you manage to catch BBC bit of it? No, I didn't see that mouse charger. Bit naughty of them as well. I don't get paid for that. Get paid for the one in the paper. So what we're looking at here are sunspots. Let's see if I can just zoom out a bit. The only problem is when I zoom out, the camera loses focus. So the trick is to look at that. Just look at that. We're looking at the sun live. The sunspots. Amazing sunspots, folks. And these are responsible for the Aurora Borealis. My phone was giving me alerts about the Aurora last night, all night long. So if it was dark enough, you'd have been able to see the Aurora from here, where we are now. If it was dark enough. The problem is, this time of year, it's not dark enough. It doesn't mean that the Aurora isn't still kicking off, because it is. It's always kicking off. But it's kicking off more at the moment because the sun has got loads of sunspots. When the sun has got more sunspots, you get more aurora. It's to do with the activity. The activity of the sun is very high at the moment, and that's why it's got all these sunspots. Hi to Steve Sanderson. Looks like a fried egg. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Hi, Sheila. I'll leave you to listen to the birds for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to check something. Just listen to the birdies. Listen to the birdies. Okay, I'm back, folks. We're live. This is an experimental live, folks, and you'll have to look out for more videos like this one because I might do some more like this. Yeah, so we're looking at the sun. We're looking at, I don't know which part of the sun this is, which section it is, because everything's kind of flipped upside down on my telescope. So I'm a little bit not sure what, but anyway, what we're looking at is a region of the sun that has, oh, I'm looking at a hedgehog, folks. Hedgehog's out. I've got a hedgehog in my garden. As we look at the sun with the sunspots. So at the moment, the sun's activity is on the rise. It goes through an 11-year cycle, and at the moment, the sun is rising in activity. and I think it's going to reach a peak in a couple of years. Now, the thing is, at the moment, because the sun's activity is on the rise, it's great because it means there's more chance of seeing the auroras. Hedgehogs are awesome. Don't need that. Don't see that many about. I've got two Lancashire, two hedgehogs. So yeah. So what we're looking at, I believe that the solar cycle, the maximum of the peak of the solar cycle is due in a couple of years. So at the moment, the sun is rising in activity, and that's great because whenever it's rising, even when it's not rising, even when the activity is going down, whenever it's doing that, it's a great time to see the aurora. When the activity of the sun has peaked, either at the top end or the low end, that's not such a good time to see the auroras. So you always want there's more chance of seeing the aurora borealis, a strong auroras, when the sun is rising and when it's going down in activity. But at the moment, it's rising, which is great. Hey, we've got 30 people watching. That's great. Don't forget to hit the like button. We're watching the sun live. I've got a solar filter on my telescope, which is very, very important. We're looking at these amazing sunspots. I was really not sure if I was going to get this working, because the problem is that I was trying to connect a separate camera to the telescope and I just couldn't find a connection for it. So in the end, I decided to use a phone, but I thought, oh no, I don't think I'll be able to focus on the sun with the phone. It's not quite as easy as what you might think, but somehow I've managed to find a way. So I don't want to touch it now. I want to just leave it. It is amazing, isn't it, Sheila? I think we'll just have a look at another part of the sun and we'll see if we can see anything on another part, shall we? There's a lot of sunspots there. That's on that bit there. Let's have a look over this side. Let's have a look down here. Anything down there? Can't see anything. Got to go back to work. Bye, Maria. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're okay. Oh, there's one down there. Look, there's another one. So there's another sunspot down there. Look. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, you can really see that shimmering. If you look towards there's a little bit of shake from there's a little bit of shake from the telescope. Very, very light wind, and but most of the shimmering that we're looking at is actually to do with the atmosphere, the wobbly atmosphere. Can you show how you're doing this? No, I can't. I'm afraid, Steve. I can't. That would mean taking the camera off the telescope, and there's no. I don't want to move it because I've got the camera set up right. I don't want to change it. I don't want to move. I wish I could show you. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'll do, Steve, and everybody else watching. I'm going to do a video today. After I come off this, I'll do a video about how I set this up and some of the problems as well, because I've had quite a few problems. So that's what I'll do, and I'll see if I can put it out later for you. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Watching this video in the garden and looking up at the sun. Yeah, well, you can. I bring it to you so that you can see it safely without having to. It just goes to show what you can see on the sun when you've got one of these filters. as I try to get this. Always press on. Everything's the wrong way around. That's the problem with this thing. It's always the wrong way around. So I always get it wrong. But yeah, this is a view of the sun, folks. Look at those sunspots. Oh my God. Don't they look amazing? So this is how the sun looks when you look at it through a telescope with a solar filter. You can see the sunspots. And those sunspots are cooler. The cooler regions of the sun. And there's a lot of magnetic field activity going on. And they can throw off material from the sun. And it's when they throw off that material from the sun, that's when, if any of that hits the Earth or the magnetic field of the Earth, that's when you get the auroras. If I had my camera for this, we'd get to see the whole sun at the same time. We'd get to see the whole surface, the whole lot. But I couldn't. I couldn't connect the camera. So at least this is working. It's working now, which is great. Because I was cursing this morning. I've got all these cameras and all these connections, and I cannot connect my camera up to do a live stream on the sun. And the only way that I could do it was to put my mobile phone holder on and do it this way. But even that wasn't that simple because it wouldn't focus on the sun. And then I found a way to do it. So we're here now. Here we go. We got it. The telescope is actually tracking the sun as well. So it will follow the sun. If I'd have put the telescope facing towards the sun and not set it to track, the sun would soon move off the screen. It would move off the screen in a couple of minutes. But because the telescope is set up to track the sun, it'll just happily carry on filming it. It will keep it in the field of view. Look at that. Just look towards the rim. If you look towards the top end of the sun there, if you look up there, now there is a little bit of wind just wobbling the telescope a little bit, but you can see that shimmering. This is what I mean by the atmosphere. You can see this on the moon. When you look at the moon, it's the same effect for looking at anything in space. Stars, galaxies, nebulas, the moon, the sun, the planets, they're all affected by the atmosphere, our atmosphere. And it's that causes that shimmering. Now, if you ask me, I actually think that the seeing, they call it seeing, is actually pretty good at the moment. I would say the seeing is pretty good. And this is a problem. If you're trying to take a picture of the sun or anything like that, you have to. I think what you have to do. It's not easy to take a single picture and get a clear shot. You'll normally find you'll try and take it. You say, "Oh, look at that! There, take a picture," and it'll come out all kind of mushy, and you think, "Oh, that's no good. That's not how I saw it." The trick is that you need to take several pictures, or you need to take a video. I would probably take a video 2 to 3 thousand frames of the sun, and then stack them. And then once you've stacked all those frames, the program which you use to stack the frames, will throw out all the bad pictures, and it'll only stack the clear ones. And that means you'll end up getting a really nice picture, a really clear picture of the sun. It's the same thing for planets. We do the same thing for planets and the moon as well, because the atmosphere affects everything that we see up there, everything. So getting a clear picture of anything in space is not easy. It's not as simple as taking a single picture. No astrophotographer ever takes, well, I say some will do, but it's not. If you want to get a clear picture of anything in space, a planet, a nebula, the moon, You can get away with single pictures sometimes, but normally you take a lot of pictures. You usually take 20 to 30, or if you don't take pictures, you take video, and then you run that video through a stacking program, and then the stacking program it stacks them all together, it throws out all the blurry ones, and you end up with a really nice sharp picture. Auto stacker is great for stacking solar. I haven't got auto stacker, Green Cat. I'll tell you what I have got. I've got Registax. It's really old. Oh my God, Registax is so old. It must be 20 years old. And I've used it for stacking planets, but I've never actually used it for stacking the sun. Funny enough, never done it. Must try it. Registax. So if you think Registax is all right, it's the one that I'm most used to. But I might try that auto stacker because it might actually work. Let me know if you can hear me okay, because I'm actually on a Bluetooth headset at the moment. I'm sat in the house watching this. I'm watching my own. I'm watching my own live stream because it's a bit too hot to sit outside. And here's another thing about solar imaging, folks. You want to try and do the imaging or the look of the sun early in the day rather than later, because probably the atmosphere it gets warmer later. Thanks, Moonage. And the atmosphere can get a bit more turbulent as the heat rises. So I think at the moment, I think that picture that we're looking at now is actually really good. It's a little bit low quality coming through the phone. If I'd have been able to use my camera, we'd get a much better quality. Now that's the next thing to do. That's what I'm going to try next time, folks. We'll try and hook up my camera, see if I can get this adapter I need. Hi, Ash. And start with auto stacker and then take output image into the Registax for sharpening. I can use the wavelets, can't I? Because the wavelets in Registax are absolutely awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you set this up, Steve. Thanks, Sheila. I'll do that after I've finished this. So if there's anyone that's just joined us, we're looking at the sun, folks. This is a live feed of the sun over Lancashire in the UK. We're looking at it through a white light filter and a telescope, a 15-inch Schmidt Cassegrain. Sorry, it's a 6-inch Schmidt Cassegrain with a 1500mm focal length. Although that sunspot region there is, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the sun it's flipped sideways a bit. So we're not looking at the sun as it is, as you see it. It's the camera. I'm actually using a star diagonal, which isn't ideal. I'd like to not use a star. A star diagonal is it's an adapter that you put on the telescope that flips the image with a mirror. Ideally, I would be looking straight through the telescope and not using the star diagonal, but it just makes it so much easier using the diagonal. Hi to Jason B. Looking at the sun. And just look at these amazing sunspots. The sun is absolutely full of sunspots at the moment. And this is good for the aurora because sunspots equal high sun activity. The sun is going up in its activity. 11-year cycle. I think let me think, I might be wrong. The last low was around about, I don't know. It's certainly on the up. The solar activity is on the rise, folks. It's on the rise. And I think it's going to get to a peak in a couple of years. And then it'll stay at the peak. And what will happen is when it gets close to the peak, or when it gets to that peak, the activity goes down. I think it's not necessarily good when the sun is near its peak and it's sort of kind of just going over the crest and then coming down again. That's not a good time. The best time for activity on the sun is usually when it's on the rise or when it's coming down. Well, that looks absolutely. Just look at those. Do you know that you could, that large sunspot that you can see there? You could fit the Earth into that quite easily. You could fit the Earth probably several times into that spot there. Anyone looking for a dedicated, I can recommend the Daystar Solar Scout 60mm. I can get great images it combined with the ZWO ASI 174. One of the guys at the club, 16-inch Bob, he's got a load of ASI cameras. I'll tell you what else he's got. He's got a Lunt 100, £7,000 telescope, a Lunt 100, pressure tuned. He said, "Oh, I got it for a bargain." He said he only paid £7,000 for it. It was supposed to be 8,000. Yeah, I wonder if it. No, I was going to think I could ask Bob if I could borrow his £7,000 Lump 100 telescope. Is 16-inch Bob a popular guy? Ask Moonage. Do you think he'd lend me his telescope so I can, you know? I think that my club, my Astro Club, and this is the thing, folks. If you belong to an astronomical society, sorry, it's popping in and out of focus. I'll see if I can just. It's just moved up a little bit. That's the guiding. The telescope is not quite guiding perfectly. It is slipping out of the screen a little bit. So I might just see if I can bring it back to center again. The thing is, whenever you're setting the telescope up to guide during the day, you really just have to point it at the sun and say, "I want you to follow the sun," and you point it at the sun, and that's the way it does it. But if you were doing this at night, you'd point it at stars. The guiding's a lot more accurate when you can do it at night, but when you're doing it during the day, you're only really pointing at one object, and you need to put the time of day in, you need to put the date, you need to put everything in so that it knows where. You can only say no. Yeah, I think the best thing to do might be to ask Bob if I could go around to his place and do a video and see how he does his pictures, because he actually does some amazing pictures of the sun. He's also got a Meade ATX, a 16-inch Meade ATX, or is it LX200? I don't know. It is a 16-inch Schmidt Cassegrain telescope. You want to see the size of it? Oh my goodness! It's not just the telescope itself, but the fork mount. You need two people to carry it. The fork mount for this telescope. A 16-inch Meade, I think it's an LX or is it an ATX? I don't know. It is a serious telescope. I've just Googled 16-inch Bob. He has a lot of online content. I don't know. That's just a nickname we give him because he's got a 16-inch. You know what? I think that's coming clearer, folks. I actually think that's a good picture right now. I think I'll leave it at that. It actually seems to have come really clear. That looks really stable now. What do you think? Unless it's frozen. We're still live, aren't we? I don't know. I think the picture seems to have frozen. What do you think, folks? We're still live, I think. I don't know, folks. I think that the picture might have frozen. But it seems to have frozen at a point where it's very, very clear. It's almost like we've got a nice snapshot there. Are we still working, folks? Can you still hear me? Because I think that the camera seems to have frozen. I might be wrong. I don't know. I think that the movement has stopped. But we're still live, I think. Are we? We are still live. I think that the video feed seems to have stopped. I'm just going to go out and check. Thanks to Steve Nichols. Yeah, this is what I want to get into. I know it's a specialist subject, but I'd really like to get into it. And do some solar stuff. Thanks, Wayne. So we're still live, folks, but I think the picture's frozen at the moment. We can see the sun, and it's a cracking picture, that, by the way. It happens to have frozen on a really clear frame. So let's go and see what's going on out here now. Let's see. So I'm now back outside. Oh, you know what's happened? Low battery. I think we might be back on again. You know what happened, folks? The camera was. You know what? I cannot plug my charger into the phone. We're back on again now. I think we're back on. What happened was the phone went into low power mode. I'm gonna have to just bring the sun back up again. It's just slipping off a little bit. I can't charge it up either because the mobile phone holder will not allow me to connect the charger. So there's only going to be a limited. Oh, hang on. Actually, I think I can. You know, I think I can connect the charger. Hang on. Give me a second, folks. I'm just going to line it up again for you. We've just gone off a little bit, but we're still here. We're live, watching the sun. I'm just going to bring it back into the centre for you. Now, where's that charger? Can't find the charger now. Look at those sunspots, aren't they amazing? Of course, I can't find a charger now. I had a charger this morning. Right, this is the sun live if you've just joined us. I'm using a solar filter. I'm using a white light filter so that we can see the sun during the day. And looking for a telescope, and it looks pretty amazing. Let's see if I can just bring it back into. We've just. I'll tell you what, it's really hard. This, you know. How's that? Oh, look at that! Look at that! I think we're back on again. Oh, look at that, folks! Doesn't it look amazing? Yeah. So if you look at the top bit. Look at the top of the sun. In fact, you can see it on the sunspots as well. You can see that atmosphere, how it wobbles. And sometimes you see those sunspots really clear and then they go smudgy. Can you see? Sometimes they come really clear and sometimes they go smudgy. Now, think about this. If you're in a swimming pool and you look up, what are you going to see? If you're at the bottom of the swimming pool and you look up, everything's going to be wobbly, isn't it? And it's the same thing. This is the same effect. The atmosphere around the Earth. Sorry to be late, but what equipment are you using, Steve Nichols? I'm using a Celestron 6-inch Smith Cassegrain, a Nexstar SE, and I'm using it at prime focus. So it's 1500 millimeters. I've also got a white light solar filter on it. I'm using a star diagonal, and on the star diagonal, I've got the Celestron Mode smartphone holder. I wanted to connect my camera, but the problem is I wanted to connect my DSLR camera, which I can connect to the scope, but I haven't got the HDMI cable to go to the computer. I haven't got the right cable, so that would be better to do that. So I'll try and do that for next time. I just need to get the right cable for it. But yeah, we're looking at the sun live. I did say on my last live stream that I would try and do this week. So I finally got to do it, but I've had some problems. And so when this live stream finishes, what I'll do is I'll see if I can knock up a little video for you and just show you some of the problems I've had because it's not been plain sailing this, folks. Bye, Wayne. it is not that simple to film the sun. It really is. It's not easy to line it up, you know. I can show you how I actually lined up the sun. Again, it's something that's not as easy as what you might think because you have to have a filter on the telescope. And when you've got a filter on the telescope, the only way you can see the sun is when it's bang in the eyepiece. And to get the sun bang in the eyepiece is almost impossible unless you have some sort of guide. But I've got a contraption for my telescope, which in fact, the old guy that I bought this telescope off, you can see the telescope I'm using. If you look back a few videos, back to about March or February, was it? You can see the telescope I'm using. Celestron Nexstar 6SE, and the old guy that I bought it off, he had all these little things that he'd made himself for it, and he'd even made a sun finder for it, and it's like a crosshair thing, and you put this piece of wood on the telescope, and it's got a crosshair on it, and you basically just line up the sun with the crosshair, and that's how you get the sun in the thanks, John, in the eyepiece. So it's amazing some of the stuff that he's made. And I think that's what you have to do, when you're doing this sort of thing. I mean, this morning I've had a lot of problems, and I've been doing this for years, and I've had problems connecting things. And it's not easy, to do stuff sometimes. Sometimes you have to do things for yourself. Things don't, oh, this won't connect to that, and I can't, and this is, you get conflictions, sometimes, and it can be really, really annoying. So if you're just starting out, what you want to do is you want to try and start out very simple and build up. Don't try and jump before you can run. There's a lot of people out there that like to say, "Oh, I want to get a big, oh, I want to get a massive, oh, I want to get that, I want to get bigger, I want to get closer, I want to get more powerful." No, I would say if you're just starting out into astronomy and you want a telescope, get something a little bit small, but don't go buy a cheap telescope. Pay a few £100. You can get a really, really good telescope that'll follow the stars, that'll follow the moon, whatever, all that sort of stuff. A go-to telescope, you can get one for around about 2 to 300. It's worth spending that money rather than trying to go on the cheap and get one from a supermarket. Do not bother getting a telescope from a supermarket. They're rubbish. They're absolute rubbish. Pay a little bit more. 200 to 300 is a decent, to get you something really decent. That's what I would do. So I'm watching this on my TV screen now. We're looking at the sun live, folks. The chat, the only thing is the chat, it darkens that side of the screen. So I'll see if I can bring those sunspots more towards the middle for you. Because if you're watching on the TV, the chat darkens the side of the screen down. So let's see, Blackbird's out. Oh, wrong way. Oh, there's one there, look. Can you see that? Got another sunspot there, look. Yeah, there's another spot there. I'll just see if I can get that. Let's see if I can just get that centered there. I'm glad I could connect that. It's really difficult this because all the controls on the telescope are all the wrong way round. I'm always going the wrong way. We'll get there one day. Oh, this is annoying. Sorry about this, Bill. Sorry about this. Ah, goodness. Now then, how are we doing? Let's see if I can. I just want to see if I can. Can I press the right button to bring that the right way? If I go this way, no. It's always the wrong button. That's better. How's that? This is the sunlight, folks. Better. I'm now getting a bit of reverb because I'm watching on my own TV. Oh, look at that. Look at those lovely sunspots. Doesn't it look amazing? Now, I do believe it's supposed to cloud over this afternoon, you know. So, um, I think it's going to get a little bit cloudier, folks. Hi to John. They are. You see those sunspots there? You could fit an Earth into one of those quite easily. You know the big ones? You could probably fit even a couple of Earths into those. They're that big. They're that huge. The sun would be just a little dot on the screen. Sorry, the Earth would be a little dot. The sunspots they're like regions of the sun that are cooler, and what's happening is it's just the magnetic field flipping. You get in the magnetic field is contorting all the time. It's twisting and contorting, and when the sun is very active, like it is at the moment, you get things. You get like polarity flips, and this is where you get these sunspots. And what can happen is, if you know the sunspots that we're looking down on now, we are looking down on these sunspots. If those sunspots were on the limb, you know, on the very edge of the sun, they would look like prominences. But we wouldn't see them through this filter, unfortunately. You can't see prominences. A prominence is it's like a bit of it's like a part of the sun that's come off the surface that's kind of thrown off. It looks a bit like a flame, but what it is just plasma and material from the sun that's been thrown off the surface. And if those prominences break away, then and if they come towards the Earth and they interact with our magnetic field, that's when we can get auroras. So it has to be in a particular. See, if the prominence heads towards the Earth and it hits our magnetic field gets blasted and it flips around the other side of the Earth and then it reconnects. And when it reconnects on the other side, on the opposite side of the Earth to the Sun, then the particles all come streaming into the poles. You know the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. And depending on the interplanetary magnetic field, whether it faces north or south, we can get amazing auroras. Now, I think I might be wrong here, but I think the interplanetary magnetic field has to point south to get auroras. If it's pointing north, we get a weak aurora. If it's pointing south, you're in for an amazing show. So the sunspots that we're looking at now, they could throw off material our direction. They can throw off material whichever direction. I mean, we're looking at one part of the sun at the moment. The sun does rotate, so there could be sunspots on the other side as well. Thanks, John. That'd be good. That, yeah. I'll do a video about this after I've finished, and I'll show you the how I set it up and some of the problems I've had as well. Because I really wanted to set my camera up to do it. It would have been better, but I couldn't. I haven't got a connection for it. Hi, Kate. Oh, I was just about to ask if Barry wanted that mount today. I could bring it round today. The bunch of sunspots towards the top of your images are the most active on the sun at the moment, and that's from Kate. Yeah, he wants the NEQ6, so I think I'll bring it round. I've got, so I just need to get it out of here because it's just taking up room at the moment. It's a bit too big for me, this NEQ6. So Barry said that he could make use of it, so that's good. I'm in the market for a handlebar mount if you're selling one. A handlebar mount. Can you hear the birds? Oh, you probably can't because I'm sat inside with the microphone. If I go outside, you will be able to. I'm going to go back outside now. You'll be able to hear the birds. Got a blackbird over the road there. It's just non-stop singing as we look at the sun. I don't think I did it too bad getting the telescope to follow the sun. It's doing a decent job. Yeah, my Aurora app was was going mental last night. Now this is the thing you see, folks, is that these sunspots, the activity of the sun, is what causes auroras. When the sun is very active, that's when someone called me then, and it didn't crash. That's good. I thought it was going to crash then because someone tried to ring me on my phone, and I'm using it to do this live stream of the sun. Well, we've been going almost an hour now. I think I'll leave it to go for an hour, and then I'll probably stop the stream, and then I'll do a video showing you how I did it. But yeah, the activity of the sun is what causes the auroras. When the sun is active, it's throwing off stuff, it's throwing off material. You've got sunspots all over it. Here's another thing as well. If you're into radio, you'll know that radio as well is affected by sunspots. The more sunspots you've got, the further you can get with your radio signal. You can reach further. Radio hams will know all about it. So there's a solar wind that comes from the sun and it's constant. The solar wind. Now, just lately, it has been really unsettled. It's been all over the place, the solar wind, just lately. And that's great because when the solar wind is unsettled, this is when we get auroras. Now, it's looking good for this winter, folks, because I think at the moment, we're in the summer here in But you're not going to see the aurora in the northern hemisphere. I don't think. I don't know. I just don't think it would be possible to see it. I mean, it was kicking off last night, but I just don't think it would have been dark enough to see it. Maybe if it was really, really strong. And the problem is, the further north you go, the more likely you are to see the aurora. But at the moment, the further north you go, the more light we've got. Because the Earth is tilted, the northern hemisphere is tilted more towards the sun at the moment. So the further north you are, the more sun you're going to get. If you're on the Arctic Circle in about 5 days' time on the solstice, the sun will not set. You will see the sun move around the sky in a circle. That'd be free. I'd love to see that, you know. I'd like to see it. But that's what's going to happen. The Arctic Circle marks the point of where you get the 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 sun all day long on the summer solstice. It also marks the point of the Earth where you get complete darkness, and you never see the sun in the winter. It's just the opposite way round. So you've got the Antarctic Circle in the northern hemisphere. After that, if you move further down the Earth, you then get to the Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer is the point of the Earth 23.5 degrees above the equator. It marks the point of the the midday sun on the solstice being directly overhead at any point along the Tropic of Cancer. And if you continue south, you then get to the 90 degrees away from the axis of rotation, which is the equator, of course. So there are 2 times of the year, if you live on the equator, where you get the sun overhead. You get it overhead when the Earth is tilting towards the northern hemisphere, and when it's tilting back towards the southern hemisphere, you get the sun overhead again. So you get it twice when you're on the equator, and that happens on the equinoxes. As you move south of the equator, you get to the Tropic of Capricorn. The Tropic of Capricorn is the latitude line, which tells us that if you're on the Tropic of Capricorn, say you're in South America or South Africa, but not South Africa, but southern part of Africa, and you're on the winter solstice, you'll get the sun directly overhead in the winter. Whereas up here, we would get to see the sun really low down, and we'd get the shortest day, and it'd be freezing. And then you've got the Antarctic Circle, which is just the other side of the Arctic Circle, and they do move a little bit. They're not these. They can move a little. The tilt of the Earth does change over time. I don't know what it is. It's thousands of years, but the tilt of the Earth can change from around about. I think it goes from something like 21 to 25, but it takes place over a massive long period. And we wouldn't notice it. At the moment, the tilt of the Earth is around about 23.5 degrees. Tilt of the Earth is 23.5 degrees to the plane of the orbit around the Sun. Hi, Darren. Are the poles supposed to shift at some point in our lifetime? Yes, the poles can shift. Yeah, a bit like on the Sun. You get I think the activity of the Sun is the polarity of the Sun shifting in 11 years. On the Earth, the polarity of the poles can flip. It can flip. Yeah. We could be in a flip at the moment. We could be in the point where it's about to flip, but it's a very slow process, and it could take it. I don't know what the period is, but yeah, the polarity of the magnetic field of the Earth can flip. It's just like a bar magnet. Highly. Sorry, that picture's not very good at the moment, is it? We're just sort of losing the picture there a bit, aren't we? Let's see if I can bring it back. That better? How's that? Yeah, it's looking pretty goodly. I'm quite pleased with what I've managed to get going here. I'm using so at the moment we're looking at the sun and we're looking at it through a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, a Celestron 6 SE. I've got a solar filter on it. It's it's aligned with the sun. It's made to track the sun, so I can kind of leave it to run it, and it'll just film the sun. And I'm using a mobile phone holder with my phone now. Ideally, I did want to use a camera, but I haven't got the connection for the camera. I'm afraid. I was missing a HDMI cable. I've got see, the problem is the camera that I was going to fit has got a small HDMI connection. It's got what I think it's a mini HDMI, and I couldn't connect it. Little Wings 6 was 9 afternoon soon. Moon wrangles and Sunday. Beautiful moon and sunrise this morning. Send look on North Manchester High. Look at that, isn't it amazing? Yeah, that's the sun, folks. That's how it looks. Can anyone let me know if you were to look through the sun just using glasses? You know those protective glasses, the Eclipse glasses. Would you be able to see those sunspots? Um, yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, you can imagine if a plane went across it now. That that happened. If you look at my video of the moon that I did over Liverpool, you can see a plane crossing. In fact, there were two planes that crossed over the sun in about the last 20 minutes of that video. I put a link to one of them. That plane went right across. That could happen, folks. That really could happen. A jetliner could go flying across the sun now. It would probably blink and you'll miss it. It would be that fast. Because the sun is only half a degree in width as we see it, in diameter as we see it from where we are. Yeah, I can hear a jet. Sounds like a or a Starlink. Yeah, I'm not sure whether the would be quite good enough to pick it up. Simon says he's got a Coronado personal solar telescope. I was looking at the Coronado ones, you know. There's those, and there's a Lump 35. I know someone who's got a Lump 35. Yeah, I think that was a Typhoon. That'd be good, wouldn't it, if a jet went flying across the sun now? We're only looking at sort of not even half of the sun, maybe about a third. It's about as much as I can fit in. The problem is that when I zoom out with the phone, it doesn't focus. It just can. What happens is it overexposes, and but when I zoom in, I'm able to pick it up. So that's how I'm able to do it. So I think it's been a success, folks. What do you think? We've managed to get a live feed of the sun for you. Let's see if I can bring it back more. Just want to bring that more that way. Sunspots are absolutely awesome at the moment. There's a massive group of sunspots. So I think it's been pretty good, folks, because the thing is, I thought, oh, what if I can't focus? What if the phone goes off? So I did a test video before, and on the test video, I managed to get it in focus. I thought, right, and then I just left it, and then I had to come out of that, and then create another live stream, and without touching anything. Just use a pair of glasses with solar filter, no sunspots visible to the naked eye, says Steve. Yeah, I think these sunspots were probably not visible unless you're looking through a telescope, or you can use binoculars. You can get high to hide. You can get the protective film for binoculars. You just have to be really careful. Whenever you're doing anything with the sun, you've just got to be really double check everything. Never look at it through anything like a camera lens or a binoculars or a telescope unless you've got a filter on it, and always double check. I know Sandra Kilpitt's been on under listening to some amazing sun and moon footage. I think I've heard of that channel. I must go now. I'm phone nearly dead. Thanks, Jason. It's so dangerous if a novice gets it wrong, yeah. I might look for filters for my celestron binoculars. Great idea. There's other things as well. Now, if you're setting up a telescope to look at the sun, it's just, sorry, it's just going off a little bit there, isn't it? It's not perfect, folks. It's not the most perfect picture I can. I'm doing my best, but I think it's been pretty good. I actually think I've done really well with this. So we've not done too bad. Now, my telescope has a finder scope on it. Yeah, there's other things you need to think about. You do not want that finder scope to have the lens caps off if you're lining the sun up, because there's those will they'll burn you. You know, you could even melt it with the heat coming through. So you can't take any chances with the sun. Everything you do, you have to double check. The filter I've got on the telescope is actually stuck on properly. There's no way it can fall off. It's fits into the telescope, and it also I've got some Velcro on it, so there's no way that that filter can fall off. And the finder scope that I have on the telescope, which is what I use to find things, never use it to find the sun. I have the caps on it, so the lens caps on it, so there's no way that the sun can come through there. So this is the thing, you've just got to make sure that you everything's in right before you start looking. Can you ever hurt your eyes looking at the moon? Well, actually, yeah, you can, but not. You can't damage your eyes by looking at the moon. I don't think you can, because the moon only gives off about 2% of the sunlight. I don't. Now you can hurt your eyes with the moon. Physically hurt your eyes, yeah, so that you feel the pain because the moon is so bright. But I don't think you can do them any damage by looking at the bright. The moon is very bright when you look at it through a telescope. What you need to do, you need to get yourself a moon filter that darkens it down a bit. If you're looking at the moon through a telescope, sometimes it can be far too bright to be comfortable for your eyes, and it can blind you. It can't. I don't think it can do you any damage, but I do advise if you want to look at a moon through a telescope, get yourself a neutral density filter to go on the end of the eyepiece, and it darkens the moon down quite a bit and makes it much easier to look at. So that's what I would do. Thanks, Moonage. Yeah, the signal just seems to have gone a little bit ropey. It's not quite as clear as what it was before. Buy an A4 sheet of badass solar film, make your own filters. Yeah, you can. That's right. Green Cat's right there. There's a firm called 1000, is it Thousand Oaks? I think they're based in California. Thousand Oaks is one of them. Bada is another one. Badder. You can buy solar film. I'm not sure if it's called Mylar or something like that. You can actually buy it in sheets of like A4. And what you can do is you can make your own solar filter out of the sheets of film. You can make it for anything. You can make it for binoculars. You could make it for your telescope. You could even make like, those glasses that you use, the cardboard glasses with you could make those. So there you go. You can actually make it yourself. Yeah, yeah. I'll have to see if I can get some, because I've got the filter for the telescope, but I could also do with some for other things as well. I've also got some Eclipse glasses, which are handy because you can just put them on and look at the I used the Eclipse glasses to film do you remember when we had the partial eclipse last year? I think it was around about, was it October or November? It was just before I went down to London. In fact, I went down to London on the same day as I was filming the partial eclipse, and I used the eclipse glasses over the phone to get the so that we could see the eclipse of the sun. There's going to be an eclipse of the sun this year. It's going to happen in October. And what's going to happen is we're going to get an annular eclipse. This is only going to happen in North America, by the way. But the moon is a little bit further away in its orbit. So it's not going to cover up the sun completely. So it's going to get an annular eclipse. And it's going to be what they call the ring of fire. The moon is going to cover up the sun, but it's not going to cover up enough. So when's the next solar eclipse from the UK? I don't know, Simon. I don't know. But I know we've got an annular eclipse occurring in America, and it actually happens in Texas in October. And if you're in Texas, you're in luck because you've got the annular eclipse in October. And then next year, April the 9th, I think it's April the 9th, if you're in Dallas, you will get to see a total eclipse of the sun. And I want to go and see that. I'm going to see it. Dallas, Texas, I think it's April the 9th. Next year, 2024, make a note, total eclipse of the sun. It's going to last for 4 minutes and 20 seconds, I think. It's jumping in and out a little bit, folks. The picture's jumping in and out, and that means it's either the camera's just focusing or it's coming really clear. Can you see sometimes how you get it nice and clear? Well, that's the atmosphere, folks. That's the shifting atmosphere there. Sometimes, bye, Steve H. But we've got quite a nice picture there at the moment. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, so Dallas, Texas, April the 9th, I think, 2024, total eclipse of the sun, and Dallas is virtually on the center line, which means you're probably up for a good 4 minutes. Total eclipse. I didn't remember that one, Simon. I know that a lot of people saw it. It was down in Cornwall, wasn't it? Some people were clouded out. Yet some people, it depended whereabouts you were. I remember Patrick Moore went there, and he was doing the Sky Night show there, and I remember them being clouded out where he was. So we never got to see the eclipse. But there were other people in Cornwall, I believe, that actually did see it properly. That's the last time. I think it was 1999. Was it 1999 when the UK last had a total eclipse, and it was in Cornwall? Yeah, Texas would be far too hot for me. I'm struggling in this heat. It is in April, so it's quite early, so it might not be too bad. But yeah, it's going to be an annular eclipse this year in Texas. I'm not sure whereabouts in Texas, but it was cloudy, but the darkness made the birds stop tweeting. Very strange, yeah. When I went to see the total eclipse in Wyoming in 2017, that was a bit weird. Yeah, we saw a 2.5 minute total eclipse of the sun. So the moon moved across the sun, completely obscured the light, but it didn't go dark. It went like when the sun goes down, when the sun has been down for about half an hour, it went like that. I would say probably when the sun's been down for a bit longer, it went like a dusk colour. You could see everything in the sky. You could even see planets. I think I could see Jupiter, but it was like 11:30 in the day because the eclipse happened in the middle of the day where we were. Here's the deal: every eclipse is different. Every total eclipse is different. It might not be a total eclipse. It could be an annular eclipse. It could even be a hybrid eclipse where some people get to see a total and some people only get to see a partial. That can happen. There's different types of eclipses. And also, if you get to see an eclipse when the sun is low, well, that would be something, wouldn't it? Can you imagine seeing an eclipse when the sun's at sunset and you get a total eclipse? How about that? How amazing would that be when the sun is low down? I'll tell you what would be good: an annular eclipse at sunset, because that way you'd be able to see the ring of fire without having to worry about using specialist equipment. And you could get a photograph of the ring of fire, the sun, the ring of fire, with something in the shot, like Blackpool Tower. Imagine what people thought back in the Middle Ages when there was a total eclipse. Well, that's why they kept sacrificing people, isn't it? And here's the thing as well: we don't get total solar eclipses. We don't get solar eclipses every month, and it's mainly because the moon orbits at around 5 degrees tilt to the Earth's orbit. If the moon orbited on the same plane as the Earth, we'd get a solar eclipse every month. We'd be getting bored by them. We'd also get a lunar eclipse every month as well, because when they're in the same plane, when they're all lined up, you get a solar eclipse, and that's usually followed by a lunar eclipse as well, and a lunar eclipse is much more lasts a lot longer as well, because the shadow of the Earth on the moon is much bigger than the shadow of the moon on the Earth. The shadow of the moon on the Earth is tiny. It's only about 50 miles wide. Yeah, thanks very much, Ravens of the North. I'm not really bothered about him. He's just a waster. So yeah, so the eclipse path follows the shadow of the umbral shadow of the moon. So when the moon moves in front of the sun, you get the shadow of the moon on the Earth, but it's only a small shadow. The actual total eclipse path is what they call the umbra. That's the total eclipse. If you're outside of the total eclipse path, the shadow is the penumbral shadow. So you don't get to see all of the total eclipse. And when it comes round the other way, when it flips around, and when the Earth gets in the way of the sun, and you have the moon opposite, the Earth's shadow casts onto the moon. But because the Earth is much bigger, it can completely swamp the whole moon, and it can completely block out the light from the sun on the moon. And that's what they call a total lunar eclipse. And the moon does not go black, it goes red, because it still gets sunlight coming through the Earth's atmosphere onto the moon. It's a pretty amazing effect, actually. Thanks, Ravens. How long have we been going now? I can't tell how long we've been going. We've been going quite a while now. Actually, it's going pretty well. Let's go and check now. Let's go and see, shall we? We've got 24 watching. We've got 60 likes. If you haven't hit the like button, can you hit the like button? I'm going to see if I can just. What would an Earth eclipse be like if we were standing on the moon? What you would see, I think if you were stood on the moon and the Earth, and when the moon was going through a total lunar eclipse, I think you would see a ring of fire around the Earth. You would see the edges of the Earth, because the atmosphere, because our atmosphere, we have an atmosphere that would carry the light from the sun, but it would look kind of reddish. I've never really thought of that. Has anyone ever tried to say what that might look like? Hi, Sarah. I don't know. That's what I think it would look like. I think it would look like a bit like a ring of fire. It would look dark, but you would see like reddish around the side, bright. And that red coming through the atmosphere is light that's been filtered by the atmosphere. So all we get to see is the red part of the spectrum when it comes out of that, when it gets filtered through the thick atmosphere of the Earth, the edges of the Earth. It doesn't come through like a white light, like the like you see the sun. We see a blue sky. That's caused by Rayleigh scattering. So the blue sky, we get a blue sky in the day when the sun is high up, it's coming through the atmosphere, the blue particles of light we get to see and the sky is blue. But you notice when the sun sets, because it's having to come through a thicker atmosphere, because it's low down, and the atmosphere that we're seeing the sun through is much, much thicker than it is during the day, the sky turns, you notice how the sky turns kind of pink and all these different colours? It's because the light is having to come through more atmosphere, and by the time it gets to us, it's been filtered out, and we're only getting to see the warmer end of the spectrum. We're getting to see the red light. The red end is what gets filtered. The blue light gets filtered out. We don't get to see the blue particles coming through. Try replicating it in Stellarium. Yeah, that's a good idea. Put yourself on the moon. Yeah. Stay on for hours and break a record. Well, actually, Darren, that is actually what I might do sometime. I might actually set my camera up to film the sun, and I'll just leave it. We'll just leave it, shall we? We'll just let it roll. I'll not necessarily be talking on the video, but I'll just let it roll. But it does seem to have gone a lot. Sometimes it does. I'm not sure if it's a signal or whether it's. I think it could be the signal. The signal looks a little bit up and down. My Wi-Fi. I'm actually using Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi signal is not very good where I have the camera. What's the weather like in Blackpool? Well, I'm filming this in Blackpool, Sarah. So as you can see, we've got the sun out. It's pretty warm. I'll just leave you to listen to the birds for a second while I. I'm not sure what you mean, Simon. UAP sightings, Tic Tac. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that. Sunny here in Cleveland. It is due. It is down to get. It's down to get a bit cloudy. So yeah, I will be trying this again, folks. But I'll be using my other camera, hopefully, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably just let the video roll. And I think if I can set my camera up to record video at the same time as bringing in the live stream, that way, if anything happens, if we get, say, a plane going across the sun, I'll be filming it as well. That happened when I was in Liverpool. When I was filming the moon live a couple of weeks ago, if anyone saw that video, that's absolutely awesome. That was shared on space.com, by the way. There's a website called space.com, and they shared it on there. So it must have got more people watching it. We had a jet go across the moon. In fact, we had two jets go across the moon. I saw one fly across the moon from right to left, but there was another jet that flew across the moon, more towards it, more into the moon sort of thing. Yeah, that bloke that was set with the camera filming the Blackpool. Was he drunk? Yeah, he was. Yeah, just a complete waster. I was trying to film the thunderstorm in Blackpool. If anyone saw it on the other channel, and this guy comes over and says, "What are you filming me for?" I think he was an alky. They thought I was filming him. Well, I did film him in the end, and I put him on YouTube. So if he'd have stayed where he was, he wouldn't have been made a star, would he? No problem, Hazel. See you later. See you on the next one. Yeah, I think it's been really, really good. You have to be drunk or homeless to hang out in that shelter. Yeah, you don't have to get some weirdos in that place up round that end. All right. Yeah, that's right, sir, Sarah. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna. I think I'll probably wrap this up now because I want to get something to eat, and then I'll do a little video showing you how I did it. Um, what time are we on? We're on. Can anybody tell me how long I've been going for? Is it over? It's over an hour, isn't it? Well over an hour, isn't it? Look at that. Guy was a chastity scammer after doing some digging right dodgy people. Let's have a look and see what this says. It says that we've been going for 87 minutes. I tell you what we'll do. I will do up to 90 minutes, and that's an hour and a half, isn't it? We've got 23 people watching currently. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit like. It's an experimental video. We're filming the sun here. I'm using a Schmidt Cassegrain 6-inch telescope with a solar filter on the end, and I'm also using the Celestron smartphone holder to hold the phone. So it's the first time I've done this in a live stream, which is why I put experimental. And I think it's been a really good success. I think the only thing is that I wanted to use a dedicated camera to film it. So I think next time that's how I'm going to do it. And you never know. Um, you might just see something fly across the face of the sun. I'll let you listen to the birds for a few minutes. Yeah, look at the thunderstorms there. I tell you what, can you see sometimes how it comes clear? If you look at the video, you can see sometimes how the sun does come clear. Yeah. Sorry, got a bit of reverb there. Got a bit of feedback. I had my volume turned up on the TV and it was feeding back there. Sorry about that. But yeah, what I was saying is that if you look carefully at the sunspots, you'll notice that a lot of the times they're quite blurry. But if you keep watching them, they come. Oh, by the way, my hedgehog's back out again. I've got a hedgehog now. I could take this phone off here and show you my hedgehog. Oh my god, I've got 3 hedgehogs. I cannot believe it. I've got 3 hedgehogs. There are 3 hedgehogs. Shall I do a bonus video? Take the phone off the telescope and show you my hedgehogs. Hit 1 if you want to see it. Okay, it's getting a bit noisy now, folks. I'm going to have to taking this camera off the telescope. Here we go. Sorry about this. Bear with me. It's warning me now about something. I think I've got to. I hope this is the right way around. Bit of a bonus for you. There's the telescope, by the way. Sorry. That's what I was using. Got some water out for it. Anyway, that was it, folks. That's the end of the video. How about that? We ended up with some hedgehogs. Yeah. So there you go. I'm going to leave it there now, folks. Yeah, that went really, really well, actually. Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with that. So thanks for joining in. Thanks to everyone for watching. It was an experimental video filming the sun live, and watch out for more because I will be doing some more, and I might even do some on the moon as well. So there you go. I think it's been really, really good. And so that's it. I'm going to go off now, and what I'll probably do is I'll do a little video showing you how I set it all up and everything, and some of the problems I've had as well, because I've had a few problems as well. So even me, in fact, I think if I turn the camera around, we can see we've got three hedgehogs. Look, oh my goodness. Didn't expect to see that, did you, in this video? So there you go. Anyway, thanks for joining in, everyone, and I will see you again. Look out for the video where I showed you how I set this up, and look out for more videos live, the sun live, the moon live, whatever else I can do, and I will see you on. I will see you then. Bye.